We are back inside City Hall. There are just 4 days left before the presidential election, and Barack Obama and John McCain are both campaigning fast and furiously to pick up last-minute support. And back here in New York, the governor and mayor warned about the ongoing economic woes. We are joined now by our Friday Reporters Roundtable to take on those issues and much more. Here are Daily News and host of the morning show on WWRL Radio, columnist Errol Louis, former New York Times columnist Joyce Purnick, who is now writing a biography of the mayor, New York One's political director Bob Hardt, and joining us from Albany, the state editor for the New York Post, Fred Dicker. It's nice to see everyone. And Fred, we start with you in Albany on the presidential race. We'll get to the state budget in a couple of minutes. Do you agree, Fred, with the conventional wisdom that says that Obama is ahead? Some polls indicate that the race is tightening. What do you think, Fred Dicker?
Dominic, I agree with the conventional wisdom. I don't think it's all over yet, but it's obviously Obama's race to lose. I think the tightening in some of the swing states may be significant. The national polls, at least some of them, show it a 3 or 4 point race, 5 point race. That's almost within the margin of error. So I think there's still a chance for the Republicans, but it's really an uphill battle and unlikely that John McCain can win.
Joyce Purnick.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that. I mean, we're all going by the same information, so it's a question really about whether the polls are right and whether they are polling the people who are going to vote. And there's really no way of knowing that. But if you look at the trends have been fairly consistent. And if you look at previous races, it always closes a little bit towards the end. So I would agree with the conventional wisdom. I don't see where else to take it.
Well, what is different about the conventional wisdom this time is that the percentage of black voters who actually turn out is going to be sky high. Normally, 4 years ago, it was about 60% of registered black voters came out, compared to 64% of voters overall. The number is going to probably be in excess of 70%, 75%. It could go as high as 80 or 90%, depending on the state you're talking about. And there's preliminary information that suggests that. You know, early voting in Florida, you see people waiting online for 4 and 5 and 6 hours at a time, a week from Election Day. In other states, you're seeing a similar kind of a really dramatic. I mean, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution estimates that for the percentage of early vote in Georgia, 40% of them are black, but only 30% of the registered voters are black, which is itself an increase. So, you know, we're going to see some things I think they're going to throw all of the models off, and I tend to think we're more likely to see a blowout than we are to see a close race.
But we don't know. We don't know whether a lot of the young people who are so revved up by Obama are actually going to vote. I suspect they will, because Obama has an extraordinary operation pulling out the vote.
I think same story. They're going to come out in much bigger numbers than anybody expects.
But again, you never can be sure about who's going to.
The challenge for the McCain campaign is pretty simple. They are looking at a whole string of states that they're narrowly losing, if you believe the polls. Maybe they can turn 1 or 2 of those around. Maybe the polls are wrong on 1 or 2 of those states. But to run the table, which is what he's going to have to do, and he's basically playing defense right now with the exception of Pennsylvania, is going to be a very, very hard thing for the campaign to do at this point.
Well, folks, today on the campaign trail, as you might expect, McCain and Obama will do the same, was pulling out his big guns in terms of Rudy Giuliani, and also earlier tonight, the governor of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Let's listen to an introduction by Giuliani of McCain.
This man has earned the presidency of the United States. He's earned it by putting his life at risk for us, by putting his career at risk for us. And now, as Senator Graham has said, and now he's fought for us all of his life. Cindy has been at his side all of his life, fighting for us. Now it's our time to fight for him, to prove all those people in Hollywood, all those people in the media wrong. Let's elect John McCain and Sarah Palin.
What do you think, Joyce Purnick?
You know, I have to argue with the premise that he's a big gun.
Really?
I think that Giuliani's reputation took a real battering, thanks to Giuliani, during these past several months leading up to the convention. And at the convention, where he did that number on Barack Obama and he ridiculed him for being a community organizer. He did badly in the primary period. I'm not sure why I think there are a lot of miscalculations that McCain has made, and I think Giuliani is one of them. I mean, he may play to a certain base, but I don't get this judgment at all.
Interesting. Fred Dicker, if McCain does lose Tuesday night, what happens to Giuliani? That means that he won't be going to Washington. Does he stay in the private sector? What does he do?
Well, we know he may run for governor. Let me just say, I think Joyce is right, but I think in addition, the memory of Giuliani is fading. 9/11 was a long time ago now for a lot of people, and America's mayor, is something from the past, and I think that's part of this problem too. But in terms of where Giuliani goes, he's out there campaigning locally in New York right now. He was up in the Albany area just a couple of days ago. He's been out in Queens several times in the heavily contested Senate race there for Surf Maltese's seat. So I think he's seriously eyeing a run for governor in 2010. Hasn't yet decided, but may try one more time for a political comeback.
Well, do you agree that he may attempt to come back, Bob Hardt, or is Giuliani done with politics?
I don't think he's made his mind up yet. I think he does like the crowds, and we saw him at the convention in St. Paul give actually one of the most effective anti-Obama speeches that I heard. The problem was that it was in the middle of Hurricane Gustav. It was a very busy night that it kind of got missed by a lot of people. I think he really does enjoy this, and there's going to be a lot of people telling him, hey, you should run against David Patterson in a couple of years.
Mr. Louis.
You don't want to discount the fact that guys like Rudy Giuliani, they like to campaign. It's fun. They like to be in the action. Even if he doesn't plan to do anything else as far as running for office, it would make sense and it would be understandable for him to want to get up on the stump and do what he's pretty good at. Now, the fact, as Joyce points out, he didn't win any states in the primary season. He didn't win any delegates in the primary season. He kind of was a big flop in the primary season. Look, he's preserving his viability, which is what a political leader would do. He's doing something that he'll be able to pull out later and say, look, I was a good soldier for the cause. I went out there and I stumped even though nobody else wanted to do it. And frankly, there aren't a lot of surrogates who are fighting for space at the podium to argue the merits of John McCain at this point. In fact, there's a lot of finger pointing going on within the campaign. There's a lot of infighting. So Rudy Giuliani's trying to be a stand-up guy for the Republican Party, and we'll see where it leads.
Well, Joe the plumber.
It's Joe the plumber.
Sometimes there, not always there.
This is true. Let's take a look, folks, at Barack Obama accusing McCain of throwing mud.